everybody, welcome to the show. Today, we have an international magician who knows no boundaries. From appearing numerous times on television to performing at the world-famous Matchett Castle, even a gypsy hut in the Himalayas during a blizzard. Jay has done it all. Everybody please welcome Jason Wethington. All right, Jason, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Jamie. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm happy to be doing this show again. We're starting season 2, so I'm really excited, and I can't wait to see where this goes. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
It's fantastic.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from? What do you do?
Yeah, so I consider myself a professional magician. I do magic in a lot of different ways. I'm originally from Kentucky. I grew up just south of like the greater Cincinnati area, in little tiny
Dayton?
rural Kentucky,
Oh, in
and
Kentucky.
moved down to Florida in like 2000 to perform at Walt Disney World. I spent a little over a decade there, like 12 years at Walt Disney World, performing with them, and during that time doing shows and all over the place. Helped start a company down here that was putting magicians into restaurants and teaching magicians how to approach restaurants and create mutually beneficial performing opportunities for people all over the country. And then I started traveling. I do consulting work. I work in community development, brand development. I help people understand the audience that they want to talk to, why they want to talk to them, and how they can do that better.
So it's not just
And
about the magic.
it's not just about the magic.
Right, okay.
I use magic principles and the things that magic structurally teaches you about creating experiences for people, and I apply that to other types of businesses. One in particular, this project that my friends and I started here in Florida during the pandemic, is a community theater called Theater in the Cloud. And one of the roles I help them with is marketing, advertising, and brand community development, bringing people in. And we just finished our third show of our first season. So we wrapped season 1. It was really, really awesome. And we're moving right along into our second season of shows, and getting ready to we've been asked by our city to host our New Year's Eve celebration. We're hosting 3 stages, so it's a great opportunity for us to get in front of a lot of people.
So when it comes to magic, like say sitting down and either maybe creating or working on magic, or just playing with some strangers, what is it about magic that makes you want to sit down and do that?
I like playing with people. I like watching people and how they interact with the world around them. And I like stories. And I like playing with people, weaving them into a story that they don't even realize that is being woven around them,
Mm-hmm.
basically. So it puts them, it's like, when you read those old magic books, it would be like, well, you're in the middle of a conversation and bring up, pickpockets or something like that, right? So that's kind of the style that I've adopted, where it's I call it conversational magic. The way that I let my friends know about it, it's like, come in, we're going to have some really interesting, unique drinks. The Bone Sack does all like small run, small batch brews, like ciders, wines, beers, that kind of thing, but it's all small batch. So you get an interesting drink, you're going to have fascinating conversations, and you're going to see some really amazing close-up magic.
That sounds pretty cool to me, actually.
Yeah, super cool. And one of the things that is really nice about it is I get to pick, one of the things that I've started doing over the last 6 months is I would pick an effect, like one trick that I was going to work on for the entire night.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to find ways in improvisation of presenting the same effect multiple times without them realizing that I was doing the same effect.
Oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
So kind of like yeah, just kind of playing the same song, reorganizing the notes, and then presenting as a, it's a
I,
brand new song.
I do it all
So
the time when it comes to the piano. I can take a song and sit down and play it 10 times, and all 10 times it's different.
it's
Uh,
different. Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's, yeah, I love that kind of thought process. That's
So
great.
yeah, which is a break from how I used to approach performing magic, because like at Disney, I had, 4 20-minute shows that could all fit together to be one long show, but I could also separate them out. And it had to be because we were getting evaluated on like how loud our crowds were applauding, and how often they were laughing and interacting with us and all of those things. That's the way Disney wants to look at the show, so it had to be very consistent. And I could play, but whatever I brought to Disney needed to be like a fully formed idea, and then I could create iterations of it over the course of shows and take notes and work on things like that. But it was definitely more of a structured type of approach, where this, I can have an idea about something, or sometimes I'll take, I'll just lay stuff out on the table, the props that I brought, just randomness, and have people pick up a couple and see if I can create something on the spot with whatever they picked up off of the table, right?
I like that. I like that a lot. That's a great way to uh, build improv skills and
Yeah,
just
like find your way through it, like make something magical where it's not necessarily dependent upon like, sleight of hand or a gimmick or something like that. You're trying to make a magical moment, and a lot of times just finding your way there, like, hopefully they pick up a coin in a pan or something like that, right? Where it's like,
yeah.
oh, I can Spanish, or oh, I can do this. It might fit in with a more traditional magic, but a lot of times they give you like off the wall off the wall stuff, which makes it fun. So in trying to work that or weave that into an effect and make it entertaining.
Okay, so speaking of sleight of hand,
Yeah,
you've got something set up for us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit before you jump into it, and
yeah.
some.
So the effect I'm going to do is called 3 and 3. It's an old effect. It's one of my favorites, and it's in a Bobo's Modern Coin Magic, which, if you're a beginner magician and you're interested in like money and coins and things like that, it's one of the foundational books that is out there, and it's a really simple, beautiful effect. I've added a couple of things to it.
Yep, right
So
up
I
there.
just use half dollars. You can use any coin. I like the half dollars. But essentially, so there's this effect, right? It's called coins across. And the idea is that coins exchange hands, because money is one of those things. It's kind of a fascinating thing when you start thinking about money and how it was created, like who was the first person who, wanted to exchange a piece of metal for a banana or something like that, right? It's kind of a wild idea. And the idea that money exchanges hands, and this is how a magician would do it. And there's versions of this from all over the world. I spent a lot of time traveling over the years, and every place that I would go to would have like a different way of performing the effect, right? So this is the basic way. So you got 3 coins here and 3 coins here, and you give them a little squeeze. You go 1, 2, 3. This is the way that I learned initially when I first got the book. Uh, this is pretty much straight out. Now I have 2 here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. 1 goes across.
Very nice.
Do it again, because there's multiple coins here, so we can do it multiple times. The idea here is, I'll do this. This is one of my favorite ways. This is I went to India, and I traveled around the northern part of India, traveling to different holy sites. And I ran into a magician on the streets in Varanasi, and which is a city dedicated to Shiva. And this is the version that he showed me. He had 2 coins. Can you see that? Yep, there you go. 2 coins here, 4 coins here, right? And this is called the Magic Cross of India, right? So you cross your arms, and there's 2 over here, or 4 here and 2 over here. I'm trying to tilt my hands down so the camera can see it. Perfect. All right. And if you go 1, 2, 3, the Magic Cross of India looks like that. Now there's 1 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins over here. So 1 again goes across. I'll do it one more time because that's the way this works. We'll do well, you can see 1, and you can count, and they can count these. Like I said, these are ungimmicked. There's nothing special about them really. So you put them in your hands. You say, "This is fair. This is the last way that I learned this effect. It was taught to me out in Las Vegas by a magician." But he would turn his hands over like this, and then he would do this little move like that, and he would ask me if I felt that was fair. And the first time I saw it, I'll be honest, I didn't think that it was fair. But he showed me that there was still 1 coin in this hand, and still 5 coins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins over there. And the last one goes like this: 1, 2, 3, and there's no coins here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 coins. So 1 goes all the way across. Perfect. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
And that's called 3 and 3. Like I said, it's an old effect by in JD Bobo's book. So it's super cool, super straightforward.
I'll put a link up for Bobo's.
Yeah. It's I mean, that book, and if they can find the hardback version, that's the one you want to go with.
Big white book.
The big one, yeah. Because there's in the Dover print edition, they eliminated a bunch of effects from it. They culled some effects out, so you're not getting the whole thing.
So when you're doing a routine like this, okay,
yeah,
there's some shady moves going on. So why do you think they work? Why do you think you can get away with certain movements? Is it because what you're leading them into, or is it just that they can't see it?
I think it's a little bit of both. The way that when I have live people, I use the principle out of Juan Tamarez's book, The 5 Points of Magic. He has this wonderful idea about tying strings of awareness to your audience from the center of your head to your entire audience, and playing those strings like an instrument. So sometimes you want to relax attention over here, bring attention over here, leaning in, and in the context of like switching your focus or switching your gaze, of accomplishing a move in that space in between, right? Where people can see things, but it's like the larger actions are covering the smaller minor actions. And so it's a little bit of them just not being able to see it, because there are some slights. Like with this effect, I mainly just use a thumb palm. I've changed around the slights that are in Bobo's that just fit my hands better and fit my personality a little bit better, because I like to talk with my hands, and a thumb palm tends to work a little bit better for me than.
I wasn't sure if you were doing a thumb palm or like a hang ping chen kind of move or something like that.
Yeah, so I do the hang ping chen move, but I always clip a coin like that in my hand when I'm doing it, instead of, because you can get that wide spread into a gesture really quickly. They don't see anything. So the slights are well covered, and the hand ping chen is one of the most, I think, beautiful moves.
I use it for more than just coins.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, it's a beautiful move in Magic that I've applied in a lot of different ways.
There's a few out there, right? There's a few that might be under the radar that are some just outstanding little pieces.
Yeah, and a lot of times they were things that you learn early on, right? Like when you first start acquiring sleight of hand tools and methods, in our quest for consistently getting better and more difficult sleights and things like that, we sometimes abandon those early methods. And one of the things that I did as an experiment a few years ago, or more than a few years ago now, with a friend of mine who's also a magician, we would go back and we would look at the old methods in the old books, and uh, because we thought at one time, that was the uh, most progressive method, right, for performing an effect. If it was captured in a book, that was a secret that wasn't readily available for people. So we thought, how can we take these old methods and reapply them uh, to create something that a modern audience would be able to appreciate. So yeah, so
The moves still work.
it's
It's the
still,
people that change.
yeah,
That
it's
that's
sort of like, and there's ways of doing it. It's like playing piano or playing guitar. There's ways of moving through chords that are quicker and more efficient, but you don't necessarily have, like, everybody doesn't have to play an A the same way or a G the same way. There's ways of creating the chords.
and that's why improv, like we talked about earlier, is so valuable because
Yeah,
uh, as people change all the time. Every generation is different. They have different ideals, different things. Technology. I mean, look what that's done to the young people. People that are just coming up now, and
yeah,
they are what we would call brilliant. With computers and everything else, um,
yeah.
but they have different mindsets. So being
Yep.
able to do the improv when you run into these things where you're not used to this type of situation or this kind of group of people, improv is
It's yeah, it's I mean, jazz music is kind of similar in that sense, in that you're with a group of people and you're playing and you're creating a live performance. Um, and that doesn't exist necessarily, or that's not the general approach to magic, right? Like, we
no.
get routines and we have these boxes of experiences that are these little effects,
Hmm.
and we, kind of present them to people, and they're clever and they're fun. But to really get rid of all of that and go, okay, I'm going to create in the moment and see what I can do,
Hmm.
and you can do fun things. Like, one of the things that I do, I've been carrying around, I got this elephant um when we were in Nepal, and I painted it, and for like the last 3 or 4 years I've been working this little guy into my shows, like making him appear on the table right in front of people, while they've been, like, we're just sitting there, there's nothing else on my table, and just figuring out ways of, within a conversation, to sit this thing on the table and then draw their attention to it and make an elephant appear on the table.
That's
So
that's a fun thing to do. I like that kind of idea. I ran myself into a situation like that very recently. I don't know if you guys do it in the States but in Canada we have something called Movember, where people grow beards and whatever to
yep,
raise money for cancer. Um,
yep.
anyway, this year I was an ambassador for the Grow on Windsor. It was called Grow on Windsor fundraiser for the Windsor Cancer Foundation, and they gave me this to try and come up with a trick involving. Let's see, unravel it right. Okay, this is
Oh,
grow.
nice.
Okay, so when I first got this, I thought it was a handkerchief. I didn't really check it out. I didn't do anything and then I decided, okay. And for days, I'm thinking about, okay, what am I going to do with this thing? Like,
Yeah,
what can I come up with? And then as I get a few ideas, I mean, it's a handkerchief, and like, of course, I should be able to come up with a handkerchief trick.
yeah.
So then I unroll it, and then I grab it, and I realize, well, son of a gun, it's not a handkerchief; it's a sleeve.
Oh, dang.
So something you put over your head and then you pull it up
Yep,
as a mask, right? So then
yep.
I have this for like 15 seconds that I've known what it actually is, right? And the only thing I could think of, and it came to be quick, and it actually turned out to be really, really cool, is that I'm like, okay, so I show everybody what it is, if I got it in the full screen, whatever, and I say, watch, and then I reach my arm down into it, right? And I got a savant or something going on, right? And then I pull this giant whatever out of this,
Yeah,
and it went really, really well. And that's
that's
that's what I
awesome.
like about that, when you have one of
Yeah,
those moments when you're, especially when you're put on the spot like that. If you're, you know, at a table and say, here, pick something like you said there earlier, or I'm just winging it and figure out what you can do with, like, I don't know, maybe somebody's got some weird item with them sitting there for no reason, and
yep, exactly. Yeah, I would try to, like, I used to steal when I performed restaurants a lot, and at Disney. I performed in a bar, the Rose and Crown Pub, and I used to do a drink steal. Like Paul Harris had one called King Solomon's Drink, I think, and Mac King had a version. I forget what he called his, but I sort of borrowed techniques from both of them and kind of created a drink steal. And now I can basically steal anything up off of a table under the guise of doing another effect
Hmm.
and make that thing reappear later on when they're not expecting it.
Gotta love that
And
kind of stuff. That's
yeah,
that's
it's
being
super
creative,
fun.
and yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And trying to do like there's this great another Gary Kurtz book called Leading with Your Head. And one of the effects in that book, and I always thought it was genius, is he would do a card to box, like under a card box on the table,
Hmm.
but he wouldn't be standing anywhere near it. He would have three people choose cards, and he would essentially like the card would be loaded in full view, but he would be commanding the audience's attention so much that he could move around the group of people, still have all the focus on him, make the cards the person was just thinking of in their mind. I think that was the way that the effect went. And it was under the box, and he's like
That's
on
brilliant.
the other side of the the table or whatever. So yeah, I love that kind of thing.
Well, that's awesome. I love talking about creativity. It's one of it's what drives me. I like coming up with strange, weird ideas. Some work, some don't. More don't work than do work, but uh, I love coming up with them. Right, just being able
Yeah.
to think like that. And
Yep.
I tell people about my some thoughts, just trying to get some information. Maybe I'm talking nonsense or something like that. Right. Um,
Right.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how many people don't think like me. So it's I don't know if that's a
Yeah.
good thing or a bad thing, but
I always
it makes
think,
me enjoy it more. It makes me enjoy, thinking out of the box, thinking of weird, you know.
yeah, because like when I was younger in Magic, like I didn't feel that I knew, I was in a situation where it was like I was young, I was good at sleight of hand, but I still didn't know everything and I needed more. And I felt that, like I said, the types of positions that I wanted to perform in, I needed these more structured types of effects.
Hmm.
And now being able to sort of abandon that in a sense and still having magic as a structure, like creating the story and being in that world. Yeah, the improvisation is just like that to me. Always fascinated me about magicians in general and the commoditization of magic. And I'm good. Like I sell magic tricks, and I teach and all of that. Like I've got some products out on the market and DVDs and stuff like that. Um, but the commoditization of magic has sort of it's like offloading creativity onto someone else, right? So I don't have to be creative because someone else can create the magic effect and spend all the time scripting and writing words and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's kind of interesting to me that and I think, like I said, I think the nature of magic does kind of lend itself to wanting to have like fully formed pieces, kind of like a cover song or something like that. If you're a musician, it's sort of the same approach, and
Yeah,
you don't want to go out there and like potentially go completely sideways in the middle of performing a song if you're just making it up on the spot. So, but
I like being put on the spot. Actually,
yeah,
not
me
not with
too. I
piano. I
love,
don't Not with the piano. I'm pretty good at the piano, but I don't like being put on the spot. But with magic, I don't mind being challenged. I like it. It makes me, you know, all right, let's do it.
yeah, I have like I'm just now starting to play music in front of other people, getting up on stage and singing and that kind of thing. So coming, like overcoming some, obstacles there, challenges there. Magic, I feel like I'm much more well versed in it and that I have access to a whole lot of tools that I can utilize, whether it's linguistically or, physical manipulation. Um,
Tools is a very good word because uh, I did the opposite. My first book was Expert at the Card Table, which is
oh yeah.
is way no way you're ready to even think about
Yeah.
that. But I because I didn't understand it, I went at it like a bull, just
Right.
like I had to understand this. I had to get this. It took me a while, so even now, if you look at me performing, people can see the mechanic in me over the magician.
Mm,
They can see that part of things I do, and that's fine. I don't care. But
right.
after I got really good using expert at the card table, I was really young. My parents bought me the whole 8 DVD set of Daryl's Encyclopedia of Card Sleights. Now that was something that was valuable. That
Yes.
is something that even today I can go back to DVD number 3 and go, oh right, and I'll pop it in there and look at it for a minute and say that's a great idea. And I can't count how many times I've gone back to that and had one of those tools. And there's not very much magic on any of those DVDs. There's no
Right.
tricks. There's like
Yeah.
maybe 2 or 3 tricks per DVD. It's all just sleights,
Yeah.
counting and moves and that's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. Having that to go
Yep.
back to. That's a
Yep.
that's a
Yeah.
tool
That's
like warehouse.
yeah, exactly. It's like I think, I use music a lot now as sort of analogy for magic, and it's the same way of like learning your chords, learning your chord shapes, learning bar chords. Like you get a foundation, and then once you have that little bit of a foundation, then the whole thing kind of opens up to you, and you can go back and refine, or you're looking for a sound, or you're looking for, this thing, that a piece of the puzzle or whatever it is you're trying to create. You can kind of go back to some of these books and teachers, and they'll give you just absolute. And sometimes, like, you'll remember a slight. I don't know, probably the same way, but I'm over the course of time of performing something, you change it, you
Yeah,
shift it
yeah,
to sort of work better for yourself. And then when
absolutely.
you go back, you'll see something that's like, oh, dang, if I add that to what I'm doing with
Hmm.
like how I shifted it, oh, this is going to make it so much better. So there's that creative iterative process there too, which is,
Absolutely. So,
that's one of the things I love about sleight of hand. I
oh,
love about being on a guitar is just being able to play with things over and over and over and over, and coming up with slightly different ways of doing everything.
what's next for Jason? What's Jason got going on? What's in
Yeah.
Jason's mind?
So the next, we've got a lot of projects that I'm doing with Theater in the Cloud and through Theater in the Cloud, because it's a nonprofit organization.
Hmm.
We're able to do some really cool things with our community. So we're in the process, the pre-planning stages of another magic fundraiser. We did a fundraiser last year with 3 amazing guys, and so we want to plan another one for this year. We've got our next theater production is a play by Jean-Paul Sartre. It's called No Exit. It's like an allegory of hell. It's a really wild and beautiful thing, and I'm creating the experience for the guests as they come in, and playing with their perceptions. And the whole play is supposed to be slightly uncomfortable. So that's one of the ideas that we're playing with, how we're going to bring people into the space, like creating ever slightly narrowing hallways for them to walk down, things slightly askew, color palettes that work together but don't work together, that kind of thing. Um, and then working on a show, instead of doing one night a week at the speakeasy. I'm going to shift. We may still do the one night a week, but we're going to shift and do a monthly show here in town, because people are kind of looking for that experience. That's one of the things that the guests of the speakeasy have been asking for. They want kind of something a little bit more formal. They can sit down. So working out, working out that show as well.
If somebody wanted to come and see this show, how would that happen?
So basically, they would have to follow me on social media, either on Instagram or on Facebook. Those are the only two that I really use.
Okay.
J Wethington, just the letter J, and Wethington. That's on Instagram. And I'm Jason Wethington on Facebook. And I'm a member of like
All the
All
magic
Things
groups.
Magic
Yeah.
group. I'm part of a lot of different magic groups. But yeah, you can follow me, and I put out where we're going to be, and because I'm the social media manager for the theater as well, I cross promote
Right on.
everything.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm sure people are gonna want to see that. It sounds great. I'd love to be there to be able to see it.
Yeah,
It sounds really, really cool. But I want to thank you for being on the show. I know it's been a while since we've been planning this. We've been trying to make this work,
yeah.
and I've been a little messed up and had some
I'm happy
issues.
to see you back doing this, dude. It's really awesome
I'm so
and amazing.
excited. I really am so excited. I love talking to magicians. I love it. And even if we're not doing the show, I talk to a lot of magicians on Zoom and whatnot. And,
Right on.
we jam with ideas. And, sometimes we don't exactly jive, but sometimes there's that one thing that comes up. And then
Yep.
that's all it takes. And,
Yep.
you know,
Exactly.
it's
Fire
so
and
great.
yeah.
Well,
It
there you
just
have it, everybody. Jason Wethington. And this is episode 2. It's already episode 2 into season 2. I can't believe we got this far. I'm so excited. Hit like, hit subscribe, and join us on this journey for season 2.